Manic Bestia.
Hiya, Manic Bestia here. Tonight I want to discuss one of my new favourite fantasy films, Time Bandits. I watched it for the first time this year after having heard about it for ages. I think we had a copy when I was a kid, but we lost it before I had a chance to see it. And now, 12 years later, I'm finally getting around to it. For whatever reason, Time Bandits has always had an alluring quality to me, especially thanks to that incredible artwork Terry Gilliam made for the cover. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it though. I more often hear about Brazil, which according to Gilliam is a sequel to Time Bandits. Then there's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which together make up the Trilogy of Imagination. Gilliam has quickly become one of my favourite directors after seeing 12 Monkeys, Brazil, and of course Time Bandits. I think his movies are best experienced blind, by the way. Just know they're a little bit mental. He really just did whatever the fuck he wanted with this one, and somehow it all still comes together. I'll show you what I mean, but if you haven't watched it yet, then you really need to see it to believe it. Much to my amusement, Time Bandits turned out to be a subversive and hilarious epic that completely takes the piss out of cheesy kids movies, while also holding on to their whimsical and creative approach. The movie stars a typical young boy named Kevin who loves toys, history, and fantasy. Also, his bedroom is a time rift. The reason I say this film takes the piss out of kids' movies is because Kevin mostly becomes a side character who's just strung along for the journey and gets talked over by everyone else. He helps out the Time Bandits here and there, but most of the time they just shit on him, and it's hilarious. It just feels like the whole film is just God playing sick jokes on Kevin and the rest of the bandits because he got bored or something. The Time Bandits themselves are a group of misfits who used to work for God. They were created by the Supreme Being to make trees on Earth and fix time rifts and stuff. But they got fed up with their jobs and took God's magic map to steal shit through time and space instead. What? This is insane! I love this! I'm sure we've all thought about what we would do with time travel, right? First of all, I'd see the dinosaurs. Then I'd kill the person who invented bloody touch buttons. And finally, I'd tell myself to play games other than Minecraft my entire childhood. And then, I'd just steal loads of shit. But what? I guess I could steal my old Time Bandits DVD back from when I was a kid. Of course, it was me. I was the one who stole the DVD from my past self, and now I need to go back in time and steal it back to complete the cycle. Okay, voiceover Manic, you finish the video. I have a timeline to fix. What? Bye, I guess? Twat? Terry Gilliam said the actors who played the Time Bandits were enthusiastic about the project because it gave them a chance to be the heroes of the story, instead of being typecast side characters stuffed into a fucking tin can like their previous roles. Randall, played by David Rappaport, is just the greatest. He's the leader of the bunch and has such a strong personality in the film, always downplaying Kevin's importance and being a sketchy bugger since he knows the Supreme Being is after them. Oh, and don't worry, the humour of the movie isn't just short people funny. The film very actively goes against that idea and humanises the Time Bandits really well. The beginning of the film has this whole elaborate set during Napoleon's invasion of Italy, and Ian Holm portrays him as this pathetic, insecure loser who just wants to laugh at people shorter than him. The band also end up in the Middle Ages, where John Cleese completely steals the show as he plays up this lofty and flamboyant depiction of Robin Hood and his smelly men. Shelley Duvall also plays a really funny character here. She's just overacting and understands the tone of the movie perfectly.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom,
we're then introduced to the main villain, Evil. This guy is so fucking funny, oh my god! He is just pure campiness in the best way possible. Every line he has is tongue-in-cheek and satirical, parodying overused tropes like the Dark Lord of Evil, Black, Dark Shadowness and Evilness, and playing it completely straight. This guy just represents that edgy kid on the playground who always pretended to be the villain and going completely over the top with it, to the point of complete absurdity.
If I were creating a world, I wouldn't mess about with butterflies and daffodils. I would have started with lasers. 8 o'clock, day one.
I love how this movie plays with the idea of God and divine beings. They're portrayed more like Greek gods, like kids playing with their dolls. If gods existed, they would just fuck with us. In fact, maybe they are just fucking with us right now. Hey, God, if you're out there, Why did you create alcohol, cigarettes, and subscription-based software licenses? Do you like seeing us suffer?
Those are all human inventions, retard.
But aren't gods also a human invention? This is just another example of why I love this film and Terry's other works. It just leaves you thinking about all these existential themes despite how funny it is, which is something most blockbusters, let alone PG films, are too scared to even touch. It just goes to show how humour is a great way to deal with fear, tragedy, and other spooky topics like religion. The more you ignore and blindly protect these topics, the more disconnected and alien they become. Why am I trying to be deep in a fucking Time Bandits video? And last but least, there is God himself, aka the Divine Being as he's known in the film. He's scary in the beginning when he's just this giant floating mirror on the wall, but when it's revealed what he actually looks like at the end, it's like... Bruh. I'm not sure what his deal was, but I really wish he was something even slightly creative. It's just some old guy in a suit, like what the hell? Get out of my room and play with my friends, Grandpa!
Mojisto, I need your help, okay? I need to go back in time to steal a DVD from my past self so I can use it for this video.
Be not rash, Bestia. Time is an unstoppable force even I cannot control. But I too know someone who can.
Ow!
The Time Drifters.
So, what's this movie even about, huh? As I've said, I went into this pretty much blind aside from the title of the film. Turns out this one is a lot easier to follow than Terry's other work. If you're expecting it to be anything like Brazil, then whoa mama, reel in those expectations right now, sister. Even with all its wacky time hopping, this story is surprisingly linear, and the consequences of time travel affecting the future never really come into fruition, sadly. Unless you interpret the ending as being the altered future, which is difficult to say. Even though Randall is the real main character, the movie follows Kevin, who pretty much goes through your typical kids movie character progression, wherein he begins as a very timid and annoying kid, but grows into being a brave and annoying kid who's able to outsmart the baddies. The malefic maestro himself seeks to overthrow his creator, God, although he won't admit he was made. Using the power of modern technology and a magic bird bath, he manipulates the Time Bandits with mind control to lure them into his domain of darkness. And for some reason, Kevin is the only reasonable one. Everyone else is blinded by greed because the plot commands it. And that's it. They just go from A to B and hilarity ensues. Like, it's so simple! You don't need the most insane fucking mastercraft plotline to make a great movie, if you have a unique vision and a style as strong and iconic as Gilliam's. Yeah, it's another Dark Lord, this has been done 7 sextillion times, but the satirical way David Warner portrays him is the real X-factor here. My favourite aspect of the film is the subtext. At the beginning of the movie, we're shown that Kevin's parents live a dull and miserable life, buying the newest shitty technology with touch buttons and unnecessary broken features. Yeah, touch buttons you have to hold for 5 seconds before it does anything!
No.
Fuck off! And then at the end, this is brought back in this really surreal scene where the appliances are revealed to be the greatest treasure in the universe, according to Evil. This doesn't affect the main story in any way, it's just a really cool little creative detail that gets you thinking. What did he mean by that? Phone bad? Maybe Epstein was murdered. Sure, random XD shit just kind of happens in this film, yet the purposeful details make up for the more absurdist moments, in a way that feels sincere and well-earned. Your suspension of disbelief is constantly thrown around and played with in this film, which is what makes it so fun to watch.
Yo, Dr. Cyber! I need your help. I have to go back. Sorry, Bestia, but I'm a little busy at the moment. I simply don't have time. Are you dumb? You have a time machine. I sure do, but you know what I don't have time for? You're bullshit! Oh ho ho ho! The Time Twisters have teamed up with the ghosts of the past to create the ultimate time machine, the Chrono Loco. And if we don't hurry, they're gonna use it to kill the person who invented pizza! What are we gonna do without pizza? This could have unthinkable ramifications for the integrity of the mindscape.
Wow! Fuck this loser! Let's get out of here, Dr. Cypher!
Time cruisers away! That was the most obnoxious shit I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so get this. 1981. No CGI, no digital, no bitches. How did they even do anything? Working on a budget of about $5 million! God damn, that's cheap. Yeah, Terry was not in a good spot financially, and he really needed Time Bandits to succeed if he wanted Brazil to get the funding it needed.
Well, I'd been trying to write a serious film, and I did, and nobody was interested in it. And so one day I said, let's write a film for children. But rather than do the way Lucas does, I actually think he actually goes for the lowest common denominator. There are no ideas in his films.
Even though there was a lot on the line, his vision of the film still feels largely uncompromised. Terry effortlessly tiptoes the tightrope of acceptability for Time Bandits, and played his cards perfectly in order to get the correct rating while maintaining its edge. Shockingly, the effects are nearly seamless, even the composited ones, which, especially for the time, would have been a gamble. You may have noticed that I haven't really mentioned the music yet like I usually do, because it's mostly incidental. The music is good on a technical level, but it's really just made to fit whatever the time period or world the team are in at the time. Throughout the score, there isn't really one motif or theme that you can latch onto, unfortunately. It's a shame. I feel like this movie could have really benefited with some sort of weird, surreal, synthesized and experimental music, especially for the dreamlike final sequence. Terry Gilliam's films are super stylized, especially thanks to his use of wide-angle lenses. The sets are usually immaculately dressed with cheeky details, one of my favorites being the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness, which transforms its architecture over time into giant wooden blocks and Lego bricks, with this massive checkerboard creating a mesmerizing scene, straight out of the surrealism art movement.
Alright, so I've got my old Time Rift map here. It's a little bit outdated now, but hopefully some of these are still around. Aha, that looks like one. Let's go.
The, fourth act takes a turn as the Time Bandits and Kevin are separated. I think this is where the pacing of the movie kind of takes a wrong turn. The beginning of the film is so hilarious that it kind of feels off when we get to the more down-to-earth story in Greece. The jokes are few and far between and don't really land as well as the first half. Scenes will often overstay their welcome a little, and I think some moments could have been cut down for the sake of brevity. It's an epic journey for sure, but the story itself is pretty straightforward, so the almost 2-hour running time doesn't feel necessary in my opinion. After this though, the movie gets fucking wild. They end up on the Titanic and yeah, Randall just treats Kevin like shit and it's hilarious. After it crashes,
Uh-oh, spoilers!
they end up on this incredible pirate ship. I love pirate ships so much, oh my god. This movie just went from a 7.6 to a 7.74 just like that. There's also a whole bit with an ogre and his wife too, but it didn't really click with me, and doesn't add much to the movie unless I'm missing some sort of deep subtext for it. Let me know. Oh yeah, and the pirate ship is actually perched on top of a giant dude's head. The way forced perspective is used in this scene is remarkable. Again, the practical effects team absolutely nailed it when bringing these surreal concepts to life. I kind of wish there was more zany stuff like this throughout the film. I definitely prefer the fantasy elements to the historical ones. If I wanted to watch a historical comedy, I'd just watch the Monty Python films. As somebody who loves practical effects, this movie is an absolute treat. So many miniatures, so many sparkly explosions, so much compositing, and it's all so well done. Although you can see where some compromises were made. Like, you're telling me Robin Hood's hideout is just some playground in the middle of the woods? Okay, bro. Back to the story though. After the giant falls asleep, the magic map leads the lads directly into the villain's fortress of absolute pure fucking evil. But little do they know that what lies beyond that gate is a level of wickedness they could have never prepared for.
Okay, behind this door is my childhood bedroom. I need to be careful though, because if I meet my younger self, it could cause a complete paradox and just fuck up the timeline completely. Alright, what up, cunt? Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but you are me, and I am you. From the future. Oh, I'm not even here right now. I must be at school failing my exams or something. Okay, it should be... is that Minecraft? Trust me, you don't want to play that garbage. You should try Robocraft instead, it's way better, and it's free. Okay. Time Bandits. It should be right... here. Huh? It should be here. It should be right here. But that can only mean someone's already been here. Impossible.
The climax of the movie is one of my favourite finales ever, mainly on a conceptual level. Terry Gilliam's madhouse of imagination could not be held back, as the universe of the film begins to collapse in on itself. In the final chamber, Emperor Evil is found in this twisted world, half inside, half outside. The very fabric of space-time has been torn asunder by his magics. And that's not all he's got. In a last-ditch effort, the Time Bandits use the convenient Omega wormhole in the castle to conjure forth allies from across time to help end his reign of terror. This whole scene is pretty cute by today's standards. Nowadays you'll just have giant portals and laser beams with a million glup shittos flying all over the place in a bloody Sainsbury's advert. But back then this would have been epic. And honestly, with all the practical effects and real, honest-to-God, living, alive, breathing horses, parentheses, real, it's still pretty fucking hype.
How does a film end, the whole thing? How does
Like many of his films, you're left wondering what was real, what wasn't, and what was half real. Then God shows up so he can be boring and lame and just tell everyone to clean everything up. Gee, thanks, Grandpa. The bombshell at the end is pretty unexpected. They say it's more about the journey than the destination, and the destination this movie ends on might confuse or scare some children who don't understand it's a complete shitpost, which just makes it even funnier.
I'm Steve.
And that's why I'm still baffled at the absolute tungsten balls the producers had making this movie a PG. I feel like if I was an adult watching this with my children, I would have to run out of the cinema because I'd be pissing myself laughing too much. Again, I wish I could have seen this as a kid because I just don't know how a child would react to this insanity. Wait, where was I again? God damn it. This video needs to be out by August. I just need a little more time.
Bandits.
I used to love watching this movie as a kid. I must have seen it 100 times. Oh shit, Minecraft! I've heard so much about that game, apparently it's really good. Anyway, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's fucking hilarious, but it still has so much soul and really captures that need to escape from our boring society and embrace the world of imagination. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'll see you next time.
At the time, I was told, we can't do that ending, because this is a family film, blah, blah, blah. You bring people from the shopping mall, and they get a free night out, and you're seeing people hating the movie. Which is your favorite bit of the movie was one of the questions. The ending, it was over, they could go home. And there it was, the favorite part of the movie was the ending.
Brilliant.
And that's how it ended.